The first American infantry units splashed ashore in Operation Torch, hauling with them a weapon most had never even heard of. Packed inside crates stamped SSCRAT were 5,000 new M1 rocket launchers, soon to be known by a single name, the Bazooka. To many soldiers, these were nothing more than mysterious tubes of steel. They had no training, no manuals, and no clue that this crude-looking contraption would transform tank warfare forever. Within 2 years, it would force Germany to rethink its armored tactics, inspire desperate copies, and give ordinary GS the power to hunt tanks instead of fear them. The story began months earlier, on May 6, 1942, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Colonel Leslie Skinner and Lieutenant Edward Olell were ordered to show anti-tank prototypes to a skeptical panel of generals, while the British brought in massive spigot mortars weighing over 100 pounds. Olell cobbled together something far simpler that very morning. He pulled a steel tube from a scrap pile, bent a wire coat hanger into crude sights, and taped it together. The generals barely looked at it, their hopes pinned on the heavy mortars. When the tests began, 5 of the spigot weapons fired at a moving M3 Stuart from 150 yards. None struck the target. Too heavy, too slow, too clumsy. Then Olell stepped forward. Fearing the backblast, he wore a welder's mask, shouldered his crude launcher, and fired. The rocket hissed out and slammed into the tank's side. He reloaded in 5 seconds. Another hit. General Barnes, head of research and engineering, laughed at the contraption. "It looks like Bob Burns's bazooka." The name stuck, and Barnes immediately ordered 5,000 into production. From junk to factory lines, the transition was lightning fast. By October 1942, General Electric and other contractors were making 5,000 launchers each month. Each required only 20 pounds of steel, basic welding, and simple electrical parts. Cost $25 for the tube, $80 per rocket. At just 13 pounds, 54 inches long, it could pierce 4 inches of armor at 300 yards. A soldier could learn it in a single afternoon, weeks less than the 37mm gun. Suddenly, 2 men could carry real tank, killing power anywhere. But Torch nearly ended in chaos. Eisenhower learned the night before the invasion that troops hadn't even opened the crates. The bazookas arrived sealed, marked CC-right, and no one dared unpack them. Men were forced to figure them out in the middle of battle, under fire, with no training and no instructions. Worse, many rockets had been ruined by seawater. The 509th Parachute Infantry reported only 7 of their first 20 rockets worked. Even so, there were early victories. On November 10th, the 1st Armored Division scored its first kills. 2 French Renaults destroyed near Port Lyautey. The bazooka worked. When it worked, the Germans soon got their hands on it. At Kasserine Pass in February 1943, Rommel's Afrika Korps captured intact launchers and ammunition. Within days, they were shipped to Germany. Engineers marveled at its brilliance: light, simple, devastating. By September, they had their own version, the Panzerschreck. In July 1943, Sicily became the bazooka's true trial. American paratroopers carried improved M1A1s. At Biscari, one legendary shot punched through a Tiger's driver's slit, one of its few weak points. German diaries admitted infantry now had rockets capable of destroying armor at 100-150 meters. Colonel James Gavin declared the bazooka gave his men confidence. 17 German tanks fell to bazookas in Sicily alone. As the war dragged into Italy, the weapon proved just as effective against bunkers, walls, and strongholds. Canadians at Ortona blasted holes through stone houses to bypass deadly streets. By early 1944, every U.S. infantry battalion carried at least 24 launchers. German commanders ordered tanks never to advance without infantry, never to close on buildings within 100 meters unless cleared. Crews welded on spare tracks, sandbags, even concrete. The tank's dominance was slipping away. By D-Day, thousands of bazooka teams crossed Normandy's beaches. In the hedgerows, they became indispensable, Records show 12% of German tank losses in the US sector during the first 6 weeks fell to bazookas. Cheap, light, and deadly, they were now as common as rifles. In the Ardennes, freezing cold crippled the rockets, but even so bazooka teams destroyed nearly 90 armored vehicles. Men kept rockets warm under coats until firing. One sergeant knocked out a Panther at 75 yards with a shot to the engine deck. The weapon's versatility reached the skies. Major Charles Carpenter, Bazooka Charlie, strapped 6 launchers to his tiny L-4 Grasshopper plane. In 1944 alone, he destroyed tanks, armored cars, and trucks, turning his fragile scout plane into a tank killer. By war's end, nearly 500,000 bazookas and 15 million rockets had been built. For the cost of one Sherman, the army could arm thousands of infantrymen. German tanks worth fortunes were felled by an 8-Elder rocket in the hands of a teenager. Studies showed 12% of German tanks destroyed in Europe fell to bazookas. More than that, fear did the rest. Diaries show tanks abandoned just from reports of bazooka teams nearby. The Lightning War of 1940 had been slowed to a crawl by simple steel tubes in the hands of common soldiers. The bazooka story didn't end in Europe. In the Pacific, Marines used it to torch Japanese bunkers, nearly 2,000 rockets at Iwo Jima. In Korea, the old model failed against Soviet T-34s, but the new 3.5-inch Super Bazooka stopped them cold. Its descendants spread worldwide, the Soviet RPG, the British Adolf, the Swedish Carl Gustaf. Born from scrap, wire, and tape, the bazooka was more than a weapon. It was America's creed in steel simplicity, mass production, and faith in the citizen soldier. The Germans built wonders like the Tiger. Powerful but few. The bazooka proved that 1,000 cheap tubes in ordinary hands could beat any masterpiece. German armored commanders admitted bitterly the rocket launcher had ended the independence of the tank. No tank could roll forward unafraid. Every hedgerow, every ruin, every window might hide a bazooka. Thus the mighty Blitzkrieg was broken, not by bigger tanks or massive guns, but by a weapon so simple it could be built in hours, taught in minutes, and carried anywhere. On the beaches of North Africa, November 1942, it made its chaotic debut. From then on, rocket by rocket, it helped bring the Third Reich to its knees.